All right, so week 7. I haven't even done any look into this really, just so I can get the video out on Monday. But just a quick recap on week 6. I had a few bad picks, but mostly good ones. Rodgers got hurt. I wasn't really big on him. I didn't use him in any. I said he had a pretty tough matchup, and he was on the road. They were kind of expected to win on the road, but it was a low-score game. They're projected to be, so that's kind of a whiff. Breeze, Cousins, Watson, Rivers, Palmer were my main guys. I used Big Ben. I said if you happen to play 10 lineups, use them in one. Elijah McGuire, Ingram. I talked about him being way less ownership than Kamara and slightly cheaper. So I said I was going to use him. That was great. Kamara, decent. I ended up using McKinnon just because every week I say, I'm not going to lose to the chalk. So I didn't think McKinnon was going to bounce back not even bounce back, have a 26-point game, followed up by another 20-plus. So that's not positive regression. It's going to go down. You can't really go up from there. I talked about Samaje Perine, Chris Thompson. I talked about Bell having kind of a tough matchup, but using him as a GPP due to his price. Kareem Hunt, And I talked to Melvin Gordon, Gurley, Jordan Howard, a few others, but then my wide receivers. Talked about Doxson, Hopkins. I said Cleveland's good against the wide receivers, but everyone's going to use them. I was going to have some good exposure. Will Fuller, Michael Thomas. I talked about him having a pretty tough matchup too. Jordy, Devontae Adams, Terrell Pryor, Juju Smith or Martavis Bryant, Antonio. I talked about how good Palmer was. You can use him with John Brown or obviously Fitzgerald. And then my tight ends were Gronk, ASJ, Griffin, Brayton, Kittle. I didn't say anything, or I said I didn't like Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford, Winston, Alex Smith, and Derek Carr. I talked about Adrian Peterson picking him up for season longs, but I did not think he was going to do that. So hats off to you, AP. So showed him you were still all day. I kind of said Bell, I kind of didn't. So just had to reiterate that. So I can't be patting myself on the back for that one because I wasn't full on it. I said no to Doug Martin, no to Aaron Jones, no to Duke Johnson. So had a lot of good picks. It's important to go over them. I'm not over here just boasting about picks. I'm just talking it's important to go over your last week. And if you're barely missing the money, if you're playing cash, you're playing GPP, I always recommend playing cash. So 50-50s or double ups or smaller tournaments. I always recommend those. A lot of single entries, any single entries you can do, so sharks don't come in and just max it out. If you're not winning, then look at what position you're whiffing on, or I never do 100% exposure on anyone. It doesn't matter. If people did 100% exposure on Rodgers this week, stuff like that. So yeah, I never do 100% exposure. I don't play the big tournaments because of sharks. It doesn't matter. I put in a good bit of time with this. Not as much as I'd like to. Probably shouldn't say that, but it's the truth. I could probably put in more time. For my rosters, I went to Nashville to go see Chris Stapleton this weekend. It was awesome. But once again, I had a midterm this weekend, so it's not like I got to put in the same amount of time for rosters. My picks were great. I did well. I picked Steelers over Kansas City straight up, and I bet on the Jets to lose by a touchdown. Didn't want to do that, though. So yeah, I had a lot of good picks. It's just important to look at where you're missing. So week 1 and 2 of the NFL, I wasn't doing good on running backs. Since then, I've tried to find value in the wide receivers and pay up for my running backs. So it's always important to look at what you're messing up on. I usually don't recommend defenses just because it's a crapshoot. And I'm sorry that I didn't, because my number 1 defense last week, the one I had most exposure to, were the Saints. Go figure. The franchise record. I don't even know if that's an NFL record either. 3 pick sixes. I just figured Stafford was beat up. He's going to have to throw to keep up with New Orleans. Anytime that a quarterback is hurt and has to throw, probably means he's not going to be as accurate, and that means more cause for interception, more chance. So I really like that spot there. I kind of talked about Washington. Of course, everyone is going to use, I would think, Baltimore and Houston. So there was a lot of good defenses, a lot of good defensive scoring. But if you use Saints alone, pushed me into small cash tournaments. So I was good with that. But enough about that. This week 7, So it feels like there's not a single good quarterback at home this week. So if you go through, like you see, the top five quarterbacks are Breeze, Prescott, Cam Newton, Marcus Mariota, Rodgers. That's your top five price. None of them are at home, and one of them's gone for the season. R.I.P. Rodgers. So sorry about your collarbone, man. That sucks. Hey, bring back Brett Favre. Who knows? Just saying. And then you got Carson Palmer, Russell Wilson. You finally got Big Ben at home as your first quarterback at home. And then you got Jameis Winston, Sam Bradford, Jared Goff. So you have, out of that, you have two quarterbacks. They already listed Sam Bradford is out according to DraftKings. So you have two quarterbacks that are at home, and one has a tough matchup. The other one has a really tough matchup. One's Big Ben. I can't recommend him anymore. Like, you're making me look bad, man. Come on. Just retire. What are you going to do? So do something. So, yeah, it doesn't look like there's any quarterbacks that are at home and not favored. So you really want to look at, like, matchups in that case. So, yeah, you got Dak Prescott without a running game. So, and San Francisco's not good against the pass. Dak's going to have to throw, but DraftKings already went over that price and bumped him up. Drew Brees is at Green Bay. He hasn't been that much of Drew Brees that we're used to, like 400-yard games, multiple touchdowns. He's been doing great, like touchdown to intercept. I mean, minus last week, he had those two interceptions, but like I think he was sporting a 6 or 8. I think it was 8-0 touchdown interception ratio before that game. So what's it, 10-2 now? Pretty much still 8-0. But yeah, so I don't like Cam Newton at Chicago. I'll play some Dak Prescott at San Fran because he might have to. No, not might have to. He's going to have to throw. I don't really care for Drew Brees at Green Bay that much, just because he's the highest priced quarterback. I feel like I can find a better price there. Marcus Mariota, if he's clear to play, I like him at Cleveland. Palmer at the Rams. Rams pretty good. I don't like these divisional games. These NFC West are low scoring, just ugly games, minus the Rams San Fran game Thursday night. But like, no one saw that coming. Even like San Fran fans, like there weren't even anyone there, and they didn't even see it coming. So I don't really care for Palmer as much there, especially because he came off a good game and Adrian Peterson just went crazy. People are going to think that offense is clicking, and it's like I'm not going to have one game against Tampa Bay because I don't really trust in Tampa Bay. I'm not going to have one game against Tampa Bay, and they don't have a pass rush. And I said it last week, other than that one game against Tom Brady, which we don't really know what the Patriots are doing right now. But the Tampa Bay Bucks don't have a pass rush. They got Vernon Hargraves. I like him, but yeah, the Cardinals went aside and just picked them apart, and their offensive line somewhat got healthier. So I don't think that this Arizona Rams game is going to be high scoring. I think it'll be like 17-14, 23-17, something like that. Probably the Rams probably win 23-17, something around there. You got Russell Wilson against the Giants. Coming off a bye, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is pretty much done. So like last week, like the Giants came out and looked great. It wasn't even so much of that. It's that it looked like the Denver Broncos offense of last year. Like the run game wasn't there. Just Trevor Siemian had a few picks. It just wasn't there. I'm going to just scroll over Big Ben. Not going to use him. Jameis Winston got hurt. Ryan Fitzpatrick came in and did what he does every single year. So Bucks are probably going to offer him a massive contract, and then he's going to go out there and just – I mean, this happens every year with Fitzpatrick. Every year, the quarterback gets hurt. He comes in. He goes nuts. Somehow they offer him a contract. Someone offers him a contract, and he comes in and just Fitzpatrick's on everyone. So, yeah, don't play Winston. Even if he is good, it's at Buffalo. They got a good defense. Bradford's out. Jared Goff has a tough matchup in a low-scoring game. Andy Dalton, tough matchup. We don't know about Andrew Luck, if he's going to be there. Trevor Siemian is at LA in a divisional matchup. Phillip Rivers, like I haven't seen a quarterback that I like yet. And last week I liked a lot. My buddy was watching my video and he was like, "Oh, great video! You just listed every single person. Like, real good job." So, yeah. This week I'm not going to list anyone. How about that? Joke's on you. So I don't like Josh McCown. Finally, I found a quarterback that I like. Tyrod Taylor at 5,100, going up against they say it's the second to worst defense, Tampa Bay, for passing. Like I said, I haven't broken these down yet. I really just try to get these out for more people to see it. My picks change by the end of the week. So like I go based off of these picks for you guys, and I'm just like, all right, this is what I like, just based off of what I know, what I saw, the prices, the matchups, what just the research I do every week. Like it doesn't change that much every week to where it's like, oh, but I mean, other than like injuries and matchups, yeah, which you already know. So I'm able to do this on Monday pretty much without looking at too much. But then as I go more into depth, I can do I start narrowing down on my picks or start taking people out. But the thing is, by the time I put up a video on like Thursday, Friday, like 100, 200 views, like that's not really going to help anyone. So sorry, guys. Yeah, Brett Hundley, like people are going to use him because he's got a good matchup. He's at home. He's going to have to throw. He still has good receivers around him. He still has good core players. Depending on their running back situation, they're going to try to lean on their run game. I don't see this being by any means a shootout. Drew Brees on the road outside, so he's not in a dome. So he travels up to Green Bay. I'm not sure what the weather's going to be there. I can try to see real quick. It just says cloudy, but yeah, he's going up to Green Bay. I say that because I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think he's going to go up there and just have his way with Green Bay. And for his price, I'm going to have limited exposure to him. Fitzpatrick against Buffalo. You stole enough money from the league. Yeah, and then you got like Kevin Hogan, Matt Castle, like Jacoby Brissett, yeah, and then Deshaun Kaiser. I don't understand how like some backups are more expensive than others. Like, that is just a slap in the face. Like Eli Manning's at home against Seattle. Like, yeah, it's Seattle, but good gosh, he's 4,800. Like AJ McCarron's more expensive than Mitchell Trubisky. Or oh my bad, he's 100 more. Like that is just a slap in the face to the kid. So you have a lot of quarterbacks down here that are just about free for a quarterback position, where for their price, you literally need 10 points for 2 times value, 15 points for 3 times value. Like, you see where I'm going with this. But the thing, like, Brian Hoyer is probably not even going to play. They were talking about benching him last week already. Like, he was already on the radar to get benched for CJ Beathard or whatever. It's like their 3rd or 5th round pick that Coach Shanahan really likes. So for 4,900, if San Francisco's quarterback, CJ Beathard, if he's the starter this week, then I actually really do like him. For 4,900, like, I like him. You could use him in GPPs just to free up your roster if you want those big name players in there. Who are you going to stack them with? Usually for those new quarterbacks, you stack them with their tight ends. So, because that's their safety net. That's where they know to go. They do their little check downs. They don't know who to throw to. They freak out, dink and dunk. So George Kittle's available. He runs more routes than any tight end in the league. George Kittle does. So a lot of people are like, oh, he had a big game, I'm going to play him again. It's like, well, he actually like runs a lot of routes. So yeah, you got Mitchell Trubisky down there at 4,600. People should play him just because the dude throws. Like, the kid's good. He's going to be a good quarterback. It's wait and see just how much. I mean, obviously I made fun of the Bears when they gave up their firstborn baby for him, like, and then only took 5 draft picks total, 3 of them for like no-name schools. And to go up for someone that no one was going to get, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Joe Montana. Like, okay, maybe it does matter then. But yeah, that was just a horrible. You could have gotten him late. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The draft was forever ago. Get over it. Yeah, Joe Flacco, Jay Cutler. You're obviously not going to play any of these guys. Blake Bortles. There's no point in even talking about them. So really, the only guys are like, I think Mitchell Trubisky is usable. Man, this is rough. I think CJ Beathard's. I'm going to actually have exposure to him a little bit, maybe like 15%, just because he's got a good matchup with a really good price if he's the starter. So if he knows he's got a whole week to prepare, then yeah, I'm good with him. Um, Kevin Hogan, if he's the starter, he's another one that has a good matchup. That's super cheap. Now, none of these guys, even though you can use them in GPP just to free up your roster, are you really going to get that like high ceiling from your quarterback that you need to win? No. So I think these guys are more so cash and 50-50, stuff like that. Small tournaments, cash, double up, stuff like that to free up your roster. Brett Hundley, really my most favorite guy is Tyrod Taylor. He's averaging 14 points. I know he had a hard matchup and went down. So like week 1, Jets 20 points, and then he went at Carolina. He put up over 17 against Denver. He didn't really have to do much against Atlanta. His defense did some stuff, and then he played Cincinnati. So he's had tough matchups, and he's averaging 14. So for that price tag of 5,100, with what I assume to be this, I'm doing this video Monday before even Monday Night Football. So I presume to be low ownership, but just because of his price and matchup, yeah, you know what? I'm probably completely wrong in that. He's probably going to be pretty decent ownership. But yeah, other than that, man, there are not a lot of good matchups here. I might actually have to make like a quarterback breakdown video later on. I like Russell Wilson. He'll probably be one of my more higher owned quarterbacks because he's got what I think to be a good matchup. There's still a 1-5 New York Giants team. The worst thing about the Giants winning, or now you can't see the memes anymore about like 0-who, like 0-6. So every week it just got funnier and funnier because the Giants kept losing. So, but yeah, other than that, like Marcus Mariota, if he plays tonight and if he does well, yeah, he's got a great matchup against Cleveland. Like I said, Cleveland's pretty good to wide receivers, but they're not good against quarterbacks, ironically enough. I never really understand that. But because he can run, even though he's got a bad hammy, he probably can't run. But like I said, you got to wait and see on tonight. I'm going to have some exposure to Drew Brees. Dak Prescott's going to be one of probably the highest owned quarterback this week. I'll have some exposure to him. And like Cam Newton's price is up there, but he still knows how to throw a goose egg. So yeah, I didn't really help you guys at all on quarterbacks right there. Maybe I can come back on receivers and help you out more. So you got Le'Veon Bell, 9,100. Ezekiel Elliott's out, probably out. Fournette and Gurley, like these are your big guys. Fournette, Gurley, and Bell every week. Kareem Hunt's up there too, but he's off this week. So yeah, and these guys, Gurley's price was down last week. It went up. Gordon's price was up last week, had an amazing game, and I think it went down. He's 7,000. So that's because he's going up against Denver, which he dominated them last year. He played them earlier this year too, and I thought he had a good game against them earlier this year. Yeah, 19 points earlier this year. So they are not afraid of Denver running the ball. So he's probably going to be low ownership because it's Denver, but he seems fine against them. So if you can get low ownership with that amount of volume, he's averaging 22 points a game. Like this is all DraftKings PPR, so keep that in mind. But yeah, the volume's there, and for some reason they know how to run against Denver. It's in LA, it's not in Denver, so that's good. CJ Anderson's price went up way too much. He's got a good matchup against the Chargers, but I don't think they're a good offense on the road. I don't think they're that great of an offense, period. So we'll see. Like Emmanuel Sanders is probably out because I think it was a high ankle sprain from what it looked like. Demaryius Thomas got hurt a little bit. So that tends to lean on the ground game or the run game. But if you know that you're not able to throw, like, why would you not just stack the box? So, yeah, for running back, I'll say every week, like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to play Bell. Like, whenever you play Bell, whenever you can play Bell, you play Bell. There's just sometimes where he has better matchups. And this week he's going up against Cincinnati in a divisional game. Cincinnati's coming off a bye week. Pittsburgh offense just really right now it's just Bell and Antonio Brown. Like that's it. Martavis Bryant wants to get out of town because Juju Smith's taken over. So he's not happy. His girlfriend tweeted that'll show them. So yeah, Le'Veon Bell, like the amount of carries he gets and the type of runner he is behind that offensive line, like if you can fit him, use him. He's a cash game. He's a GPP game. It doesn't matter. Leonard Fournette, he got hurt, ankle sprain. I'd be shocked if he played next week. So I don't know what. Wait to see pretty much till Thursday. I mean, an ankle sprain. It depends on if it's a low or a high. If it's a low ankle sprain, he might be able to just tape it up and run. If it's a high ankle sprain, I don't see it. So that leaves Chris Ivory open against Indianapolis. And if Fournette is out, or even limited, then I'm going to play Chris Ivory in a lot. He's 4,800 against Indy. He's already averaging almost 10 points a game, being a handcuff to Fournette. So I think he's a great runner. When he was on the Jets beginning of the season, he was the before Forte, he was the leading receiver or leading running back in the NFL for 6 weeks or something. So he's definitely good. It's there, but Fournette's there too. So if Fournette's out, I'm going to play Chris Ivory in a lot, and that should free up space for Bell or Gurley. Arizona's really good against running backs, and like I said, I think it'll be a low-scoring divisional rivalry game. So Gurley's Gurley, but he doesn't have a rushing touchdown in 3 straight games. So he went week 1, week 2, week 3. 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. And now he went 0, 0, 0 at Dallas, Seattle, and at Jacksonville. So, yeah, tough matchups. What I don't like is his receiving targets. Yeah, it went from 7 against Dallas, but then it went targets went 8, 4, and 1. So that does not look good. And, of course, that, your points immediately go down after that. His 8 targets, he got 7 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown against Dallas. That saved his fantasy day. He got 121 yards on the ground too. That kind of helps. But yeah, other than that, he's gotten 1 receiving touchdown in 3 weeks and 0 rushing touchdowns. So that's cause of concern. And now he's got another tough matchup. So for his price, I'm going to have limited exposure to him. I think LaShawn McCoy finally has a good matchup. He has not had a good matchup this year. He played the Jets, and that's before the Jets had a run defense, and he absolutely tore them up. At Carolina, 10 points. Denver, 14 points. At Atlanta, 14 points. That's a decent matchup, but he was the chalk. So whenever you're the chalk, you just don't do anything. And then at Cincinnati, 15 points. So 3 out of 4 home or away games and 1 home game was against Denver, who they just don't let anyone run. He finally gets to play Tampa Bay at home. So yeah, I think LaShawn McCoy, because of the slate, I think the only person that could outscore him this week is Le'Veon Bell. But I'll say a bold call that it's really not bold. It's a little bit bold. LaShawn McCoy is the number 1 running back this week. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of exposure to him. So, and then I already talked about CJ Anderson, Melvin Gordon. So told you all about Mark Ingram last week. He did his thing. Everyone's gonna be on him. I'm probably not gonna play him. It's at Green Bay. I just don't see him doing over 100 yards. I don't see him getting over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns again. You're going to have negative regression. I don't see him getting that. I talked about Jordan Howard last week. He's averaging 16 points now. And he's at home with a new quarterback. He's got still Mitchell Trubisky, but he's got a hard matchup with Carolina. But he gets so much volume that you could always use him. And the thing is, Jordan Howard, we forget just how good he was last year because he had a few off games because Tariq Cohen came in. Everyone freaked out and forgot about Jordan Howard. The dude was a rookie running back last year on the Chicago Bears with some 1,500 all-purpose yards or something crazy. One of the highest yards on the ground last year too. So I think you'd find Bell and David Johnson. So we forget how good of a runner this guy is. I used him last week. And the dude got 167 yards. So no touchdown. If he had a touchdown, it would have been huge. But yeah, you're going to get him at low ownership every week. He has tough matchups. It doesn't matter. So Jerick McKinnon, Another, what looks to be a tough matchup because it's Baltimore, but it's not. His price reflected what he's been doing the last 2 weeks. So, and people are going to be on him more. I'm not gonna fade him completely. I still think it's Jerick McKinnon. He's been in this spot before, and he hasn't. I don't know. He's laid goose eggs, and now he has back-to-back good weeks. I'm gonna have some exposure to him. He's got a good matchup. He's at home. Minnesota's probably favorite. I haven't looked at the line yet, but I like him. DeMarco Murray at Cleveland. It's too much of a split back right there. Jai against the Jets. I know he went for over 300 yards total in 2 games against the Jets last year, but that's a different run game this year, and that's a different offense with Miami this year. So I don't like him. McCaffrey, if you play PPR, you play him. I don't really like Doug Martin. Carlos Hyde had 2 touchdowns, but wasn't really being used. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're using Matt Breida or not, and who's going to get the start. It's probably still going to be Hyde at 5,900. He's one of those middle tier guys, right around Christian McCaffrey, Doug Martin, Adrian Peterson coming off a huge game. Darren McFadden, they bumped his price up because he looks like he's going to be the starting back. So you got all these other guys to play right around him. He's probably going to go low owned. And if he gets that same volume that he was getting, I like him. He's still averaging almost 17 points a game for 5,900. Like, that's good. That's almost 3x value. So I'm good with that. I don't like Adrian Peterson, but the Rams are not good against the run. Man, I might have to reconsider that. All right, I reconsidered it. I like Adrian Peterson. Darren McFadden, I can't say anything about that yet. We don't really know. I'm not gonna play him anyway. I know San Francisco's the worst against the run according to this. So don't just go off of DraftKings. Like I say, I do these things on Monday, or I try to Monday or Tuesday, so it's hard for me to really break down into these matchups. But you also got to look at DVOA, and then you got to look at fantasy points against the position, and then you got to factor in like how they are against passing backs, and does the offense use passing backs or not? Like, do they throw the ball to the receiver or to the running backs? And is the opposing defense good against guarding running backs out of the backfield that catch? So there's a lot of things you got to look into instead of just looking at opponents ranked 32nd San Fran against running backs. So even though San Fran sucks against running backs, people are going to be off of Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's a split back in Green Bay that I don't think it would have been, man, that game, kind of a good thing that Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Like I said, no respect, Aaron, you're awesome. But if Aaron Rodgers was not hurt, there wouldn't be fantasy football this week. It would be like Aaron Rodgers and his receivers against Drew Brees and maybe like a couple other guys. Like, it would be one of those chalk games. I think Ty Montgomery lost his running back. They finally found a running back that wasn't a receiver. So I think you're good to use Aaron Jones if he gets the start. Then I think you're good to use him this week. I didn't like him last week, but I think this week with Brett Hundley taking over, his touches should increase. I like Joe Mixon. He's going to be low ownership. I think he's averaging around 18 touches a game. So since Bill Lazor took over in week 3, his touches are 18, 17, 15. So, man, I was way off, right? So he's averaging like 16 and a half attempts a game. He's not doing anything with them, though. Like, average yards per carry, 3.4, 1.7, 3.4 with 1 touchdown. He's barely getting targets out of the backfield, 3, 4, and 0. But Pittsburgh's doesn't seem – I know that's like a skewed stat that Pittsburgh's not good against the run because Fournette had a 90-yard breakaway. If it wasn't for that, he'd have 90 yards and a touchdown instead of 181 and a touchdown. And they got torched another game, but they just not destroyed. Kareem Hunt still had catches out of the backfield, but I think they're good against the run back. They just have a couple skewed games. But when you get that much in what should be a decent matchup and you get that many carries, 15 plus, it's always good to use at 5,000. Yeah, Matt Breida is down here for 4,400, and if he gets touches out of the backfield, I like either Carlos Hyde or him. But yeah, and I talked about Chris Ivory. I really like Chris Ivory this week. But yeah, other than that, like I don't really like anyone down here. So yeah, I think Chris Ivory is going to be a good pick for 4,800. Joe Mixon for 5,000. Aaron Jones, if he gets to start. Wait to see on Dallas's running back situation. Adrian Peterson's in a good matchup. I like Carlos Hyde, Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Howard. I like Melvin Gordon, and I think LaShawn McCoy is going to be the number one running back this week. And as always, you can use Gurley and Bell. You could always use Bell, but I don't think Gurley has a good matchup this week, and his touchdowns and everything have gone down lately. So I'll try to do wide receivers quicker because I'm blabbering, and the Yankees game's about to start, and then Monday Night Football. So priorities. Antonio Brown at home. Coming off another Antonio Brown game. It doesn't matter if you can use him. You can use him. Always play him. Probably going to limit my exposure to Antonio this week compared to other weeks. Like I try to use Antonio in almost all my lineups, like 80% or so, just because of what he's doing right now, because there's not really much else on that offense. Like Juju Smith's still coming along. Eli Rogers isn't doing anything. Their tight end isn't doing anything. And Martavis Bryant's pissed off. And his girlfriend's pissed off, even worse. AJ Green's got a real tough matchup, but I think that's going to be a defensive game. I don't think that game's going to be high scoring. I don't know what Vegas says about it yet. I'm sure they got Pittsburgh favored by like 3.5, 4. So I don't really think it's going to be high scoring. I haven't checked the over under. I also haven't checked who Vegas says is going to score a touchdown, like the easiest people to score a touchdown. So it'll be interesting to see that. I'm trying to pull up next week's over unders real quick and stuff. But you got Dez Bryant against San Fran. Like he's 7,800. If Ezekiel Elliott's out, if not, Ezekiel Elliott's going to be a big play. But if Ezekiel Elliott's out, then yeah, you could play Dez Bryant. He's 7,800. I don't really like him, but because you have Dak and Dez, like people will play it. Yeah, Bengals, Steelers, Pittsburgh's favored by 5.5. So I don't know. Take it as you will, but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Let's see. Mike Evans at Buffalo. He's always got the mismatch, but yeah, they got really good corners back there. Tre'Davious White's a really good rookie. Michael Thomas is in a good spot. His price went down a little bit. His price was like 8,100 or 8,300 last week, so I did not like that. Because he just doesn't get you the points for an 8,000 plus receiver. I still don't really like him at 75. Like 75, he needs like 16, 17 points for 3x value, and he's done that twice, 22 and 23. So, and both of those were away games though, so that's good. So yeah, I'll squeeze him in on a few. I'll stack him with Breeze, but it's also interesting to see now that they got Willie Snead with Kobe Fleener out there with a consistent ground game. Like instead of just trying to feed all these people, well, they got Willie Snead back, so it's going to be interesting to see how they use Michael Thomas, because it seemed like last year it was either Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, or Willie Snead. One of them, they were always going to have a massive game. It was just a matter of picking who. So now it's kind of like, well, Willie Snead or Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas has the better chances of obviously getting a better game. Green Bay is good against a wide receiver, even with the same secondary as last year, which is weird. Fitzgerald has a pretty tough matchup, but it's Fitzgerald. His price went up, and in no way is he going to do what he did last week. Like, he has 2 30-point games this year. That's insane. But other than that, it's like 13-5, 13-11. So I'm not going to use Fitzgerald probably at all this week. Kelvin's back. Kelvin Benjamin's been doing decent last few games. So like last 3 games, 17, 16, and 19 against New England, Detroit, Philly, like good matchups. So especially when you think New England was trying to somewhat neutralize them. Now he's got Chicago, another good matchup. But yeah, for what he's been doing, his output, like if you're looking for 15 to 20 points for 7,000, he's 6,900. Then yeah, that's fine there. Stephon Diggs is still hurt and has a really hard matchup against Baltimore. Jordy Nelson, like, can't really use him. Jarvis Landry plays out of the slot. That Miami offense isn't doing anything, though. Adam Thielen, another tough one. I like Doug Baldwin. He plays out of the slot a lot, so he should get paired with Eli Apple. I try to pick on Eli Apple. It seems like sometimes with Rogers Camardi being out, it looks like Eli Apple is going to be the number 2 corner. So it looks like you can use Paul Richardson as well. So if you're looking for a Russell Wilson, like I said, I like Russell Wilson this week. I will stack him with Jimmy Graham probably in a little bit, Doug Baldwin, and Richardson. So yeah, I like Seattle this week. Devontae Parker, if he's healthy, still don't like him. He gets Maurice Claiborne. He's doing really well. But Keenan Allen does well against Denver. I think week 1 he had 100 yards against him. Oh, yeah, he had a touchdown. That's what it was, 14.5 points. But he's getting double-digit points every week. So it looks like his floor is 11 with his ceiling being around 20, 22. That's his lowest and highest this year. So 10 to 22, but I would put his floor and his ceiling down this week, being against Denver. Just got embarrassed by the Giants in a divisional game. So I don't like Keenan Allen. Don't like T.Y. Hilton. Don't really care for Funchess. Emmanuel Sanders is hurt. So if anything, I like Demaryius Thomas more if he's not hurt, because he's going to be the own receiver there. And he got pelted with targets last game. Finally broke 100 yards for the first time ever, but he got 14 targets. That's not an anomaly because Emmanuel Sanders got hurt. Like, that's why he got it. It's not going to be a one-time thing. Like, Sanders is out next week. It's already ruled. I don't know how bad it is. I mean, it's obviously bad, but yeah, he's already missing it. Yeah, he's probably going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, I like Devontae Adams in there as well. I like slot receivers, though, and tight ends with rookie quarterbacks. I said that earlier, so it's going to be tough to pick anyone on Green Bay because they have such a good supporting cast. It'll be interesting to see how Brett Hundley, what he does. He did go to Devontae Adams, though, last week, so we'll see. Pierre Garçon is in a good matchup. Like I said, Demaryius Thomas. I don't like Deshaun Jackson. So yeah, and these other guys. Once we start getting under 5,000, you're just kind of looking for shots in the dark. So see if I could find any of them that I like. Oh, I picked Kenny Stills last week, but that's because Devontae Parker was out, and I knew people would pick Landry, but I didn't get to say it in time. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this is tough because after that it just goes like by team. So if I like anyone, I'll just comment on the video. But maybe Mike Wallace for 4,100 because of the deep ball play. And I already talked about Paul Richardson and Tyler Lockett. Willie Snead's 4,000. He didn't do anything last week, but that's fine. I would expect no one to play him. But yeah, I'm probably not going to play him again this week. Yeah, these guys suck. All right, so none there. It'd be interesting to see if Mike Williams from the Chargers, if he's going to play more this week. Yeah, other than that, like, I don't really have anyone to recommend that's super cheap. Like maybe Marquise Goodwin down there. He's got a good matchup. Yeah, I don't like those. Sorry, guys. So yeah, receivers, slim pickings. Then for tight ends, like Delaney Walker is going to be the chalk. If Mariota's there, like, yeah, absolutely play him. If he's not, then yeah, I'm not going to play him. ASJ against Miami, Safarian Jenkins, he's for the Jets. He's like the number 1 receiver on that team right now, so he's always usable. Now the Jets aren't scoring over 20 points a game, but it doesn't matter because Jenkins is still putting up points every game. Since he came back and actually started playing, he's at 15 and 17 points. It should have been a way bigger game. Like, should have been way bigger because he had a touchdown. That was fake. But he's got another good matchup against Miami. They're not great against tight ends. And then you got Jimmy Graham. I already said I was going to play him. The Giants are just not good against tight ends. They are the second worst in the league. Cleveland's the worst, but like I said, I already like Russell Wilson. That's probably going to be my main stack, Russell Wilson, Jimmy Graham. I talk about Cameron Brate every week. His price is slowly coming up. And now he's got a tough matchup. Anytime you have talented, athletic linebackers, Buffalo does, it takes a toll on the tight ends. But Cameron Brate's used as a receiver a lot, so he's pretty much a receiver that's packed inside like a strong formation. So you could always use Brate. I'm probably not going to use him this week, especially if Winston's hurt. Fitzpatrick, that dude just takes shots downfield. He don't care about nothing. Yeah, like Evan Ingram, just because like Seattle's decent against tight ends, but they don't really. New York doesn't have a football team right now, so he's like the only guy left. So you could use him. I don't like his matchup though. So my main guy is going to be Jimmy Graham out of this, and then Austin Seferian-Jenkins. If Marcus Mariota's there, I will fit in Delaney Walker, but he is 5,800. You can use Hunter Henry. Denver tends to leave the middle of the field open. I don't know how, because they play so much one-on-one coverage with their cornerbacks, but yeah, they leave the middle of the field open more with Hunter Henry, so is in a decent spot. I already talked about George Kittle. Baltimore is progressively getting better against the tight end every week. That the only reason they sucked against the tight end was because Mercedes Lewis, his 3-touchdown game. Martellus Bennett is in a good spot because New Orleans is not good against the tight end, and it's a new quarterback, so he should dink it off to Martellus Bennett just based off the catches alone. I don't think he's going to get a touchdown, like he hasn't scored all year, but I do think he gets the touches, 40 yards, like 6 catches, 40 yards. Like, I don't think he does a lot, but for 3,300, you're looking at 3x value, low own. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really like any of those other guys. I'm going to pay up for tight end this week. So other than George Kittle, a little bit of Hunter Henry, a little bit of Evan Ingram, I'm going to go with Jimmy Graham as my majority-owned tight end. And Austin Seferian-Jenkins also has a good matchup. But Jimmy Graham's going to be a chalk tight end, as he should be. Like, he has a great matchup. Seattle's coming off a bye. Doesn't matter that they're traveling. Like, yeah, I understand it's from West Coast over to New York, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about that Seattle team doing that. I'm not going to go over defense this week. I'll comment on any defenses. I might just write them down, but I already went on long enough. So, yeah, pretty much quarterbacks. I kind of like Breeze. A lot of people are going to use Prescott. If Mariota is good to go tonight and looks healthy, I will play him. And Russell Wilson's probably going to be my highest owned quarterback this week. And then I like Tyrod Taylor, and there's a couple cheap guys just for streaming on double ups and 50-50s, maybe some cash plays, like small tournaments, like I say. But yeah, I like Tyrod Taylor as a higher owned GPP. It opens up your let's go Yankees. It opens up your roster, and I would stack him with LaShawn McCoy, actually. Oddly enough, I like doing that for low ownership. Like, I did a lot of Breeze Ingram last week. So although Breeze didn't throw that, he threw one interception more than I want him to. Well, 2 interceptions more than I wanted to, but I want him to have I'd be fine with a 3-to-1 ratio. So extra yards and a touchdown, that would have been huge. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We have a lot of big quarterbacks off this week and a lot in bad situations. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Bradford's hurt. Winston got hurt. Andrew Luck's still out. So we don't have a lot. And then there's not a lot of quarterbacks at home. And the ones that are at home have very hard matchups. So I don't like a lot of quarterbacks. The only quarterbacks I do like are going to be my favorite stacks. So, and I already said all the wide receivers I like. So Yeah, I'll try to comment later on in the week. I think that's the best way to do it is me just throwing a comment under the video and like saying like on Thursday or Friday or something, say who I like. Someone said, "Hey, can you do your lineups at the end of the video?" And it's like, yeah, I can, but this isn't going to be my lineup because it's going to change so much by the time I actually make my lineups. I don't make lineups till like Friday, Saturday, and some Sunday morning. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, other than that, good luck week 7. Comment down like, hey, thanks for nothing last week, or hey, I did a lot of this, it helped, or this is where I can improve on, whatever. Like, just let me know. Let me know who you like this week, who you don't like, and just say why. That's usually my biggest thing is I try to explain like why I like who I like. But other than that, good luck. I hope we both win because if you guys win, that usually means I win. So see you guys next week.